Welcome to lesson 7.3, area of a circle. Our objective, I can find the area of a circle. So what is area? Well, remember, area is the amount of space inside of an object. So the area of a circle is the amount of space inside the circle. So if I take my pink highlighter and shade in all of this area completely, that is the area of a circle. So the area formula, as you can see inside the circle, area equals pi r squared. Now, I don't think we've ever talked about something being squared before. So to square a number, that means to multiply the number by itself. Okay, so let's do a couple examples over here really quick. So let's say I have 4 squared. Well, 4 squared is really 4 times 4. You're multiplying it by itself. 4 times 4 is 16. How about 5 squared? Well, 5 squared is 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 squared is 6 times itself. 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, so that's what it means to square a number. It's not multiplying the number by 2. It is squaring it, which means it's multiplying it by itself. Okay, so to remember the area formula, we have this cute little song. Ready? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. Love it. Memorize it. You'll love it too. You'll learn to love it at least. All right, so really quick review, diameter. Remember, if I have a circle right here, the diameter is the distance all the way across through the center. So it is the distance across a circle through the center. So here's my circle, my radius, oop, not radius. This is why you get too excited. Diameter. Sorry, diameter. Okay, so then my radius is halfway across the circle. So it is the distance from the center to the outside edge. So here my radius is from the center to the outside. So remember, to find area, we don't need the diameter. We only need the radius. Okay? And sometimes it will give us the diameter, and we're going to need to find the radius, which is half of the diameter, in order to find the area. Okay? So let's get started. So the first one says find the area of a circle with a radius of 8 centimeters. Now, just like with circumference, we're going to find it in terms of pi and to the nearest tenth. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're always going to write down the formula. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. Perfect. Now my radius is 8, so I'm going to write r equals 8 over here. So I can plug in 8 for my radius. So I have area equals pi. I'm going to put my 8 in parentheses, and then I'm going to square it. So now this is where your multiplication facts come in. Area equals pi 8 squared. Well, that's 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So it's going to be area equals 64 pi. Remember, we like to put the number in front of pi. So now to calculate it to the nearest tenth, all we have to do is plug it into our calculator, and we have 64 pi, and we end up getting 201.1 when we round to the nearest tenth. So I have 201.1 centimeters. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Find the area of a circle with a radius of 40 centimeters. So I have r equals 40, so I'm going to write that down first. And then I always write down my formula. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. So my area is going to equal pi times my radius, which is 40, squared. All right, Mrs. Wall, I don't know what 40 times 40 is. I don't know what 40 squared is. So here's the cool thing. You have a calculator. Use it. I could do 40 times 40 to get my answer of 1,200. Not 1,200, Mrs. Wall, 1,600. So sorry. 1,600. Or what I could do, super cool, you ready? Learning all sorts of things in the calculator. 40. And then if you look 2 down from pi is this little x squared button. If you click that, it will raise it to the second power. So you're going to do 40 squared, and you still get 1600, right? Because they're the same thing. So I get 1600, which I'm going to put before my pi. And then to round to the nearest tenth, well, 1600 times my pi gives me 5,026.5 when I round. 5,026.5 centimeters. And that's my final answer. All right, go ahead and flip the page. So now we're given it where we have to find the area, but we're given the diameter. So we're going to do a little extra work here because we don't really care about the diameter. We only care about the radius. So if I write this down, area equals pi r squared. My diameter is 12. So D is 12. My radius is half of that, and that's what I need for this problem. I need my r. So half of 12 is 6. So if I plug in 6 for my radius, I get area equals pi. My radius is 6, and then I'm going to square it. 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is 36. So I have area equals 36 pi. So now remember, rounding to the nearest tenth, I'm going to plug it into my calculator. So I have 36 pi, and I end up getting 113, and it's going to round to 1/10. So I have 113.1. That's my answer. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Find the area of a circle with a diameter of 6 inches. So D equals 6. Well, my formula, fuzzy wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. I don't care about my diameter. I want my radius. Well, if all the way across the circle is 6, then halfway across the circle is going to be 3. So my radius is 3. So I have area equals pi times 3 squared. Now be careful, 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. So my area is 9 pi. Now, if for some reason you're not quite sure how to square a number, or if you forget what to do, you can always do 3 and then hit the squared button right here, and then get your answer of 9. Okay, so if you're not good with your multiplication facts, you just want to double check, you can go ahead and plug in 3 and then the little squared button to get your 9. All right, so then when we go ahead over here to the nearest hundredth, I'm just going to do 9 times pi in my calculator. And I get 28.3 when I round to the nearest hundredth. So I have 28.3 inches as my answer. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you have practice that you're going to be working on. So go ahead and work on numbers 1 through 4 and 5 on the next page. Okay, be careful when it says radius or diameter. Okay, go ahead, pause the video, work on those. All right, welcome back. I hope you worked on them and did a fine job. Here are the answers. Make sure to pause the video and check that they are the same as mine. Fix any mistakes that you need to. Welcome back again. I just want to show you one more time the last answer, number 5. I got the answer of B. It gave me my diameter, so I had to find my radius and then plug it in. Okay, so now that we practice using the area formula, we're going to try using area with word problems. Okay, so just like with circumference problems, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a picture first. If it helps us, write down the formula and then plug in. So let's look at number 1. It says, Henry has a circular flower bed that he wants to cover with mulch. So here's my circular flower bed. If the diameter of the flower bed measures 37 inches, okay, that's all the way across is 37. How much mulch does he need to buy to the nearest square inch? All right, so the nearest square inch, I'm going to have to fill in all of the space, which means I'm going to need to find the area. So I'm going to write down the formula. Fuzzy wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. Now I need to find my radius. I have my diameter right here. So my diameter is 37. I know that my radius is half of that. Well, I don't know what half of 37 is. That's okay. 37 divided by 2 is 18.5. So that means that my radius is 18.5. Now that I know that, I can plug it into my formula to find my area. Area equals pi 18.5 squared. Now this is one of those where you're going to have to use the calculator because I'm not sure what 18.5 times 18.5 is. So let's do it on my calculator. 18.5, and I'm going to use the little squared button here. And I get 342.25. So my area equals pi times 342.25. When I do that times my pi, I'm going to get 1,075, and it says to the nearest square inch. So my answer would just be 1,075 inches. Now be careful, Mrs. Wall forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, and I am so sorry. Inches squared, right? We're taking area, so it's square units. So make sure you put a squared on the units if you're putting that in your answer, okay? Now let's jump back for a second. Here, instead of figuring out what 18.5 squared is and then multiplying it by pi, I could have just plugged this whole thing into the calculator. So let me show you. I want you to follow along with me. So here we have pi times 18.5 squared. And it will give me the exact same thing. So you don't need to do this extra step. Okay? If it says for you to round, you can just jump ahead and go ahead and plug it all in the calculator. All right, so let's look at the next one. The diameter of a shot putter stands in is 7 feet. What is the area of the circle to the nearest tenth of a foot? All right, well, here's my circle. My diameter is all the way across. I have 7. So if my diameter is 7, it wants to know the area. Well, that's nice. It tells me that. So I have area equals pi r squared. I don't know my radius. Remember, my radius is half my diameter. So half of 7 is 3.5. So I have my area equals pi times r, which is 3.5 squared. Now, when I plug this all into the calculator this time, I want you to do it with me. So we have pi, parentheses 3.5, close my parentheses, squared. I end up getting 38.5 when I round to the nearest tenth of a foot. And be careful, my units are feet, but it is area, so it is feet squared. It is feet squared. Okay? All right, your job, I want you to go ahead and read numbers 3 and 4 and try those on your own. So go ahead, read those, pause the video, and try them. Welcome back. Let's take a look at 3 and 4. Both of these gave you the radius, which was really nice for when you had to go ahead and plug it in, right? So when you do this, you should have got 25 pi, or whatever 25 pi was equal to, and 153.94 meters squared. Okay? All right, so now I want you to flip the page. Now we have a mixed area and circumference practice. Okay, so it's your job to go ahead and work through these two problems as well as the blast from the past. It's going to have you find the area and the circumference. So remember, circumference is 2 pi r, right? Circumference, twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference equals 2 pi r, or circumference equals pi d, depending on which one you're working on. And the area formula we've just talked about, okay? So you have two circles, one with a radius, one with the diameter, finding the area and the circumference of each. There's also a blast from the past to try. Remember, this is your time to practice on your own without me, so go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, and practice. All right, welcome back. Mrs. Wall is looking for her answer key, which she seemed to have misplaced. Give me one moment. Here we go. And here's my answer key. So I just want you to take a look at that. Make sure that mine matches yours. Okay, again, this is really time for you to practice for when you have your quiz. Because I'm not taking it for you. So blast from the past is down here if you want to see it, to see what I got as my answer for that as well. Okay, so now you are going to go on. You can do your quizzes exit ticket so I can see where you're at. And remember, if you still have time, you can go ahead and do your Quizlet vocabulary for extra practice because we will have that quiz soon. All right, I hope you had so much fun. Can't wait to see you. Bye.